Go ahead and call this meeting to order. Chief, you asked me to lead the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Alderman Carney?
Here.
Alderman Stevens?
Here.
Alderman Wright?
Here.
Alderman Lockhart?
Here.
Alderman Billington?
Here.
Alderman King?
Here.
Alderman Schwartz?
All right, thank you. I'd like to welcome the visitors that are here this evening. First item up on our agenda is the consent agenda, the approval of the minutes from the June 8th, 2015 regular session. I'll go ahead and point out that in there it is written that under the amendment to the agenda to allow the city administrator to contribute a donation to VFW fireworks not to exceed $2,500. That's actually supposed to be $3,000. And then again, when it's actually voted on under old business, item 10, again, that's supposed to be not to exceed $3,000. So we can approve with at least that change, unless there are others that you guys want. So that's a motion for you.
I'll move we approve the consent agenda with the changes that were noted.
Have a motion and a second. Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the changes that have been noted. Any other discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. All right, next up is public comments. If you wouldn't mind, please come to the podium and give us your name and your address. And if you use the microphone there as well, please.
My name is Tanya Beeks. I'm at 905 West Marlowe Street here in Odessa. It's come to my attention over the past several years since I've raised my children here that there's not really anything for the teenagers to do. You've got the parks for the younger kids with the swings and the slides. You've got now the basketball courts for the older boys. Girls don't really have a whole lot. I'm seeing a need for teenagers to have something constructive to do other than pick on Mikey, tag things with whatever they're throwing at that moment, riding skateboards where they're not supposed to. I'm not sure what kind of calls Chief may get over any period of time of, mischievous teenagers just trying to figure out something to do. But I think something along the lines of a community, Odessa, getting together and doing something for these kids is in line. Because there's not anything. And I've seen what my oldest child did instead of having something constructive to do. I've seen what my daughters are doing. They're on lockdown. They go nowhere except for the middle school dance here once a month because there's nothing for them to do but get in trouble. And I was hoping that the community and the city would help some of us do something to get something done about it.
Okay. Any questions? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Anybody else wish to make a public comment? Yes, please.
Matt Griffith, KMZU, Carrollton. The news department, is just an FYI, the news department or the powers that be at the news department are starting a new segment, which is to run on Saturday mornings. It's kind of a human interest segment. And this is really for everyone in here. And we're looking for this kind of participation from the local communities. And what we're doing is we're running a piece every Saturday morning on an individual in a community who is nominated by that community to be recognized for outstanding service in some area. It could be community service, military service. So basically, I guess, if you have anyone that you want to nominate, just contact KMZU News Department via phone call or email or any type of social media, and we'll look into it, and we'll get the interview, of course. You'll have to leave a brief reason as to why the person should be selected. But anyway, that's something new that KMZU News Department is doing, and that'll be run. I guess we'll start doing it as soon as we get enough interviews to run Saturday mornings. So that's all I have.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Next, we'll move into the mayor's report. First item is just wanted to thank everybody for, especially the Chamber of Commerce, for the work that they put into the rodeo. Sounds like everything went well. I'd like to thank Lindsay Adams and the park staff for all the hard work that they put into it, as well as all the volunteers, and Chief Newhouse, the police department, EMS. Sounds like everything went really smooth this year, and so that was good to hear. I want to thank Coach Mark Thomas and the high school football team for going around, and they remulched all the park sites around the playgrounds 2 weeks ago, a week ago. So I want to thank them for that. I want to thank Downtown Odessa for the work that they did at Railroad Park and straightening up the sign. I appreciate that. It looks a lot better now, so thank you very much. Next is there's a blood drive on the 25th, which is Thursday, from 2:30 to 7 p.m. out at the VFW Hall. All the blood donated will go to local hospitals. And then I will be sending out an email here pretty quick within the next day or so about setting up a work session regarding the Dyer Park trail that we're working on, so we can have the engineers down and make a presentation as far as what it's going to look like and different things like that. So we haven't nailed down a date yet, but I'll be sending out an email as soon as we get a date picked. The last thing is Wednesday, I will be down in Jefferson City at an MML policy meeting that day, setting policy for the upcoming annual conference. Next is Billy Hopper, recognition for 5 years of service, but Billy, your plaque is not here.
That's my fault. This is a complete.
That's all right.
We just now noted that, so, we'll do that.
Yeah, they were here.
Next meeting.
You were here. So we
Fourth
get
time,
one or the other, we can't get a vote.
fourth time's the charm, Billy. We appreciate you showing up, though.
No problem.
We were just checking to make sure you
I'm
voted.
so sorry.
This is free, right?
All right, so
Oh my God.
this is the third time we've tried to get Billy here. He's been on vacation and gone the last 2 times, and this time now it's our fault, so maybe next time everything will be squared away. Sorry, Billy.
I'll send it with you. That way it'll show up.
Okay.
All right, next is Alderman reports. Alderman Wright.
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Stevens.
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Carmody.
That's nice, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Alderman Kenny.
The only thing I've got to say is, I'm just tickled to death coming back into town and seeing work going on with the Second Street project. It excites me. Looks like we're moving in the right direction. So that's about it. Nothing else.
That's very good. Alderman Belling.
Nothing really to report, but I do have a question. Sometime back, we did some work or some approvals for a railroad crossing on Dryden, actually on Mason, sorry, not Dryden, Mason. Just wondering what the status of that project is.
I remember that.
If we know seems like it's been more than a year now since we
Yeah,
approved that work.
I come across those agreements, and I'll have to look and see if there's a contact from the railroad to find out where we're at with those agreements, because I thought that they were
It was Mason Street, wasn't it?
Yeah, to Mason Street.
Mason Street, and I know they redid some of the crossing itself, but they never did Market again, and I thought they were supposed to do Market.
Yeah, and it's supposed to have cantilever
And
lighting
it's supposed to have
system too.
gates, right?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I'll check with that agreement and see if I can find the contact for the railroad.
All right, Alderman Lockhart.
I was approached with a question over on Montgomery Street with the curbing that they put in there for the Dollar General store. It's 4 foot out in the road further than the rest of the curbing up along there, and it doesn't match the other curbing at all. And well, it really makes that road narrow. I mean, what's the plan there? Does anybody know? Has anybody been by there to look at it?
The road, the engineers decided that we would narrow the road so that there wasn't as much to maintain as there is on the west side of town, or the west side of Montgomery Street. They would come in. The reason that it is high back curb instead of the other side, the other kind of curb, low back, is so that it'll channel more water, storm water.
It really looks stupid. I mean, it's completely out of line. I mean, it looks like somebody just really messed up bad.
I'll go by there and look at it tomorrow.
And that's all I have. to report.
Okay. Thanks, Alderman Lockhart. All right, next we'll move into department managers and staff reports. You have the police department monthly report as well as the code compliance update. Any questions regarding either one of those? Going once, going twice. All right. Old business. First and only item is bill number 2015-08, ordinance number 2900, second reading. An ordinance of the city of Odessa, Missouri, amending chapter 3 by adding section 3.101.1, inspection of businesses of the code of ordinances of the city of Odessa, Missouri. This is the second reading for your approval.
Move that we approve second reading of ordinance number 2900, bill number 2015-08.
Motion on second. Have motion, Alderman Wright seconds. Second reading of ordinance number 2900, bill number 2015-08. Any discussion?
I don't know, didn't we mention something about excluding, taking out the fire departments as far as doing the weed inspections?
We had mentioned it, I had asked that question, but the way Civil explained it, if the fire department went out, did an inspection and found a violation, it would come back to Civil. She would go out and inspect to ensure that basically that violation is there to verify it before she sent the notice of violation on. So that's the way I understand it to be done.
Right.
The only thing that was changed from the first one is that section where it's just a verbiage change as far as the Odessa Fire and Rescue Protection District. Everything else is the exact same as the first bill. Any other questions? All right, voice vote.
Alderman Billington?
Yes.
Alderman Henning?
Yes.
Alderman Lockhart?
Yes.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Wright?
Yes.
Alderman Carmen?
Yes.
All right, pass the 6-0. New business. First item is the annual perk board report. President Stephen Cobb. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You all generally get in your financials, our financials. I think that the original spirit behind this is to show you that if you don't get them. So what I have done in the last few years since I've been president is kind of nail down on some of the trends and interesting details that are in those finances and things that I believe that you all have expressed concerns about in general. I'll hit the concessions first. Concessions are down just a little bit, but really not much at all. They are down only about 3% from last year, and up about 2% from the year before, which is actually a really good thing because the way that we redid some of our drinks and some of our concession items, we're getting better margins. So the fact that we're making the same money on the end means that we're making more profit on each one of those. So we're actually selling a few more items and selling a little bit less cost but getting more profit. So that's still trending in the direction that I was hoping it would trend, which is upward. We've got a lot better take on everything as we move forward on that. The Aquatic Center, this year's been a struggle already. As many of you know, it was really cold and kind of rainy early on, so we didn't have really high numbers to start with. Our season passes haven't been selling like they have in previous years. They've started to spike just this last week, and of course we had to drain the pool and refill the pool, and we couldn't open a few days because the water temperature wasn't up to 70 degrees. So we're down about 12 to 15% on both our gate and our season passes. We're down more than that. We're down almost a quarter of our swim lessons. Nobody's been taking swim lessons yet, but we have a lot that just registered for the next one. So we're hoping to get more back in this year. Again, with as cold as it is, I wouldn't have expected a lot of people to want to come in early for the swim lessons, and so it was just the later swim lessons that had been getting done. And that's all kind of bad news. The up news is we trended up a little bit so far compared to the previous 2 years on rentals. And I don't know if that just means that people are getting their rentals earlier, or if there's truly going to be more rentals this next year than previous years. That's really a tough one to judge. But we have done a really good job. This year we've put policy in place of when to not have the pool open. We have a combined temperature between water and air of 140. And so if it doesn't meet that specification, we simply don't open. We posted that. We posted on Facebook and online so that people are aware if it's close to that and if we're not going to open that day. What that does is, instead of just having a dead day almost, we are saving money on the lifeguards, not having to pay them and notifying them well in advance that they don't have to come in. And that's the same with the swim lessons. The swim lessons, while they're significantly lower, that's an addendum onto our management contract. So every time we have swim lessons, part of that money's been eaten up by lifeguards. So hopefully we'll have bigger numbers and larger groups and fewer groups, because that is how we can get our revenue the best. So we'll see what it has to bring. It's starting to get warmer. More people are coming. I've looked at the trends over the last 3 years, and we trend down about 5% a year. I checked those trends with surrounding areas, Higginsville, Concordia, Warrensburg, They all are trending down significantly more than us, generally about 7 to 12%. I think Lindsay talked to Oak Grove too, but I didn't get real numbers. They just said that they were trending down as well. So that's something that we're fighting every year to try to figure out ways to at least keep that from trending down too much. As the pool gets older and people get more used to all the features, they're less interested in them because they've been there for now 4 to 5 years. Otherwise, if you look at your budgets as they come in, the one thing that concerns me is and I'm just doing my own guesstimation here, is the taxes. The taxes look to be down from what I would have expected them this year, which obviously is our largest form of income. And so if those numbers, I try to trend them out, and if those numbers trend out, I'm looking at downward of 20% drop. I mean, you all can correct me. I know you look at them a little bit better, and it's always, we're never quite sure what numbers are there and how much we have left that'll go into there and how much isn't. So not that we could do much about that, the income piece of it, but that does concern me if we come in significantly low. And, you know, if the city sees that coming, they could let us know. We can do a few various things to try to head off some of the expense side, which is what we've been attempting this year. The mayor pointed out quite a few, and I wasn't going to mention groups particularly because I'm just sure I'll leave out some and I don't want to offend anybody, but the Boy Scouts have been really good. They've done a lot of projects around here. The football team's been really good. They've done some projects. Actually, this last week, since Lindsay was out for most of the week, I have been a little bit more obtainable. I've made sure that everybody had my phone number down at the pool if they needed anything. Mickey's called me so that we didn't interrupt Lindsay, and the pool's management team's called me a couple of times, as well as the workers, and it's all gone rather smoothly. But they came to me once when I was down there, and the Midwest Pool Management does the same type of thing, community jobs. And so they came up to me and asked if we had any, because we're one of the communities they've served that they have yet to do anything. So I plan on getting with Lindsay tomorrow and seeing if we could find some project, community project for them. But we also might talk to the city, because I think that's a nice thing that they do, that they pay their employees to come and do a service project for some of the communities that they're in. So they've reached out. Of course, downtown Odessa didn't, they did not just straightening of the sign, but they retooled that whole garden area down there. The landscaping looks significantly better. And in that, we came across that old fountain that's down there, and we spoke with somebody who's going to donate some labor and some materials to try to get that back up and running. It looks like we should be able to get it back up and running. So, and I don't recall when the last time that was running. I don't think I was on the park board at the time when there was actually water flowing through it. So I think that'll be a nice add-on, and again, it's volunteer stuff. That's something that I've spoken to several times in our meetings and at other groups, which is, it used to be that, the Lions Pavilion, of course, is named for the Lions Club that put the pavilion in. The old pool was built and ran by a committee that just did that for the community. So it's good to see a little bit more influx of these people coming back around and trying to help out where we can, because of course we need it as much as possible. Other than that, we're looking at internships down at UCM, potentially for both our landscaping area and here in the office, since we have been out of rec coordinator for multiple years. And I know that they have a rec coordinator program and a good horticulture program down at UCM. So Lindsay's been in contact with them about potentially getting some interns and using some of our part-time funds to get a little bit higher talent, tier that could help us along in some areas. Because one of the areas we're definitely directing this next year is in getting some of our plans and projects down on paper. We have a couple that we know we need more ball fields, we need a complex of ball fields, we need the community center, we need to get a landscaping design for each one of the parks. Right now, at best, we have just some cursory stuff on a piece of paper. And so we're gonna hammer those out a little bit better. We won't have the funds immediately to do anything about these, but if you don't have the plans, then the funds, if you magically come across the funds, you can't know where to spend them anyhow, so we might as well do that piece of it while we're at it. Are there any questions?
How are your programs looking as far, how's each one of your programs that are usually consistent, softball, basketball, and then your new ones, and what are you guys looking at as far as programs in the future?
Programs are looking fine in general. Our status quo with programs really are they pay for themselves, which is why I didn't include them in this. The more money that they make, the more we put back into them, and the more we grow them, the more equipment we need. But they're looking actually really good. The martial arts program went down about 15%, and the Taekwondo program went up about 15%. So they balanced out, and they're both overperforming budget, which are, those are good numbers because those are, we have, our expenses and income go just 1%. So when they go down, everything goes down. When they go up, everything goes up. It's good. The numbers on everything else are looking good. They're looking good. I looked over more than just from last year to this year. I looked over 3 years, and they're trending about the same. You'll see the flux. Obviously, we have kids of a certain age group. You can just watch that grow through those numbers. But otherwise, it's looking good.
Alderman Bill?
From last year's goals, and I'm just looking at that, one of your goals was to begin to automate some more processes. Have you been successful with that?
We've had a few of them, and of course, Lindsay's integral in that, and we've had a couple people that are in that part-time position, reception position, that have had a better skill set at identifying some potential areas for automation. The concessions are much more efficient than they have been in the past. And last year we made leaps and bounds. This year we're making leaps and bounds too. One of the things that's helped us there is breaking out the lifeguards from the concession workers. Since we don't run the lifeguards anymore, we can hire a skill set that is more conducive to the management of the concession and money-taking area. So we're hiring people that no way they could be lifeguards, but they do this better than most of our lifeguards could have done that, since we don't have to have 2 skill sets built into one.
Any other questions? Do you guys do any online registration for any of your activities right now?
They're there. No one uses them. The system does not drive people well into the online system. We have about 9% of our registration is online. We need to get that number up to 40%, but I don't think we can get there with this system. We've looked at other systems. The issue with other systems is there's going to be some upfront costs. I think we have long-term costs that we can dissipate them with, but I have to be able to justify, and I've talked to a couple people. My particular skill set has got me in with one that's developing his company. He's got a decent system. It's not fully built, but since I actually do that for a living, he offered us a significantly reduced rate to come on board with him because he knew that I would be able to help him progress that software more than most. And I have been trying to work with him to break that initial cost down over the course of 3 years as opposed to hitting it all at once. Because if I can do that, he's going to charge us percent-wise significantly less. So what I could do is I could offset that every year from what our current company charges us versus what he charges us. If I could just get that number to jive so that my budget didn't have to be altered too terrible much to, and then after 3 years, we'd make more money every year. So I'm hoping to get that ironed out or something along those lines, but that's what we need to find, is something that we can diffuse some of those upfront costs. Thank you. And I did want to mention, one of my points I've made last year was I was concerned about the communication between our boards. And I just feel that that's, again, come leaps and bounds. I mean, like I said,